Upon establishing Cruiser Racer and completing the first build, it was clear to me that if I was going to continue expanding this platform, then my knowledge and experience would need expansion as well. I began looking at online courses and schools for bike mechanics, and I found a few online courses and one school in the Pacific Northwest. The issue with the online route was the course tuition was upwards towards $1,000. And I didn't see a reason to pay more than $100 if the education wasn't going to be hands-on. The issue with the school route was the only place that I found was in Oregon, and the tuition is between $1,000 and $3,800 depending on the level of skill. With the courses only lasting 2 to 3 weeks, it didn't seem like the greatest value to me. But I did find a way to get exactly what I was looking for without having to leave my state or pay thousands of dollars. Let me explain. Welcome to the Cruiser Racer channel. I'm Rebel Lion of the Electron Rebels, and this is my creative space. I call it the Builder's Corner. The Builder's Corner is the home for electric bike enthusiasts. And in this space, we're always on the hunt for the perfect canvas. A canvas for me is a bike frame. Nothing excites me more than turning something old into something new. So if this appeals to you and you like what we like too, then subscribe to this channel. Here in the Builder's Corner, you'll learn about bike mechanics and DIY custom e-bike builds. Now, let's get to the show. Welcome to the Builder's Corner. First things first, help me get this video in circulation by giving it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content. Now, as I said before, I have found the way to get the education I've been seeking without having to leave my state or pay thousands of dollars out of pocket. By implementing one of the lessons I learned from Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, lesson number 6 is work to learn, don't work for money. I found this lesson particularly useful mainly because when you're working for money, you're focused on the income and not the education that you could be acquiring. This is why I began volunteering as much as the shop would allow me to, because my intention is to be a student and learn from other professionals within the field. And it's this type of hunger that I'm carrying that many employers won't find in an employee. When you show great interest in something, it is then when the opportunities present themselves to you. And that universal law couldn't be more true. With my interest and enthusiasm toward an education in bike mechanics, an unexpected opportunity presented itself to me, and the law of attraction played out in my favor. I was offered an opportunity to temporarily work in the shop that I've been volunteering at, because a shop manager noticed my interest in wanting to learn everything each team member knew. The manager informed me about a grant through AmeriCorps. The grant would then place someone in the shop for 10 months to 1 year, and that person would help with community outreach as well as learn bike mechanics while working side by side with team members. The opportunity was everything I was looking for. And upon receiving the news, I applied immediately without delay. Although this position is not income-based, but it offers a living allowance which will continue to help me maintain my focus as a student and not as an employee. Again, the objective is to learn, not gain an income at the present moment. With the opportunity comes another grant for continued education, and that is upon finishing or completing 1,700 voluntary hours with AmeriCorps. It is with this grant that I will apply for the school in Oregon for a course in frame building, which is a more advanced class with United Bike Institute. You see, volunteering really does pay off. By giving some of your free time opens the doors to opportunities that may have otherwise not been presented. So far, the amount of hours that I've already put into volunteering has helped to increase my comfort level in building and repairing bikes. And because the shop does repair, parts salvaging, and bike building, I've already had more experience with many different types of brands and bikes. In the last week, I've gotten more experience with kids' bikes, getting them ready for sale or for gifting to other children in the community. I've also had a lesson on troubleshooting and installing dropper posts, setting up tubeless tires, and I've trued a set of wheels. And I thought adult bikes were challenging. Children's bikes are much more difficult. There are thousands of different brands, types, and models in the industry. Bikes are much like cars, many different moving parts, and this is why I prefer volunteering over a formal education. In a shop such as the one that I volunteer with, I get to see and experience working with many different types of bikes, dating from the 1960s and 70s up into the last decade. In the next 10 months, I'll be 10 times more efficient in bike mechanics, and I'll also have an opportunity to take my skills to another level. All because I gave a little of me for a lot of opportunity, and during the next year, I'll have yet another opportunity to build one of my best projects yet. I've got a Schwinn Cruiser, which is my next official build. I'll be making this resemble this to my best ability, and I'll be able to fund this whole project with my allowance. And with my experience, I'll be much more comfortable completely building this bike into an e-bike from the frame up. So, have you ever volunteered to gain knowledge and experience in something? Let me know in the comments section. For now, let's move on. We interrupt this program for a word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Cruiser Racer. Cruiser Racer is more than just a channel on YouTube. It is an entire platform based on electric bike building and enthusiasm. The first way you can help support this channel is by liking this video and subscribing. And if you'd like to go a little further, check out our store on Teesprings. In the store, you'll find eye-popping and authentic designs from the Cruiser Racer line and the Electron Rebels. This is a great way to support this entire platform and help us grow. So head on over to the store and check out our designs today. Now back to the show. What's up, guys? I'm getting ready to head out and take a ride, but before I do so, I'm going to do a 5-point check. It's something that should be done before each ride, especially when you have an e-bike, because there's a lot more moving components and parts when you have a bike such as an e-bike, a powered bike. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to head out. During your 5-point check, you want to inspect a handful of your major components. Starting from the ground up, we'll do the tires. Then we'll take a look at the seat post. We want to make sure it's aligned and at the right height for you to ride. Then we'll check the handlebar to make sure that it's aligned and not moving or loose. While we're there, we'll also check the brakes to make sure that they're catching properly. Next, we're going to check for noises and loose parts. This includes all the nuts and bolts, making sure that the crank doesn't make any funny noises and all the nuts are tight and not loose. That's already 5 components, with the exception of the noise and loose parts being 1. Because we have an electric bike, we also need to check our battery. When checking tires, we are checking for the health of the tire and we're checking for the tire pressure. A good place for the pressure to be on your tires is between 35 and 55 psi. However, depending on the size and width of your tire, you need to check the wall to make sure that you do pump it to the proper pressure. My tire size and width are 26 by 2.25. So it's recommended that I pump the tire between 35 and 60 psi. Today, I'm going to pump them both to 55 psi. Depending on your seat post, you probably want to check the nuts and bolts on the rail. If that's what you have, I have a quick release, so I want to make sure that it is at its tightest. I also want to make sure that the seat is aligned and it is at the proper height for me to ride. When inspecting the brake levers on the handlebar, we want to make sure that they don't have too much play. One thing we don't want is the brake lever pulling all the way back towards the handle grip. Next, we're going to rock the bike back and forth to make sure that the fork, the handlebar, and the headset have no play whatsoever. We want that to be not stiff, but we don't want it to be loose. Now that I know the handlebar is aligned and at its proper amount of tightness, I'm going to go ahead and make sure the brakes are okay. One thing I did find is that the right brake had way too much play. It was close to touching the handle grip, so I'm going to tighten them just a bit. And that is going to be my front brake. I'm going to tighten it just a bit, just so that it doesn't have as much play as I feel that it does. As we ride, things bump around and get loose. Here I am shaking my shocks to make sure that they're properly lubricated and moving the bike back and forth to make sure I don't hear any noises and I don't feel anything loose. With the battery, your 5-point check now becomes 6. First thing I'm doing is making sure that the electrical components such as the USB and charge port are covered so that no dust and debris can get inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and make sure the base is properly secured to the frame and that it is not loose. After that, put back on the battery to the base, secure it, lock it, and then shake it around a little bit more to make sure that it is truly secured to the bike frame. So that was the 5-point check. It only took less than 5 minutes. So definitely do this because it's for your safety when you're out there on the road. Nobody's going to do it but you, so you might as well take care of it before you go. I'm about to head out. Catch you later. Well, that's all I have for the Builder's Corner this week. I hope this talk was helpful to you and you've learned that volunteering is a perfect gateway into a new career or skill. And volunteering may be the thing to do as many of us begin to look for other ways to earn a living coming out of this recent pandemic. Just something to think about. If you enjoyed the video, go on and finger the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll be back on Monday for another episode of Bike Talk. I hope that you'll join me for that. Until our next encounter, do me a favor in yourself and stay safe and ride easy. If you'd like to be part of our purpose, mission, and our journey, please consider becoming part of the Electron Rebels Bike Club. You can find links to the club in the description below. Ride easy.